All right. Hello. Welcome everyone back in studio of sorts to yet another happy hour show. We got the band back together, baby. Baby. We got Motley Investor,
What's
Big
up?
K. Thank you for that. And Randy Hilarski, what's going on over there?
Doing great.
And as promised, special guest. Things might get a little spicy.
Wait. Announce him as a Google employee.
We have a Google employee, former Google employee. You wanted him on. You got him. No, we wanted this guy. Stef, how you doing, man?
What's up, Stef?
Yeah, Google employee 22 here, 22nd.
I liked your response to that on Twitter. You're like, we also eat food. Like,
oh man. So yeah, it's been a minute since you've been on, Stef. How you doing, man? I'm thrilled that you could make it. I know just from your Twitter account, you're not short of any opinion, so we have plenty to talk about.
No,
Been going off.
Yeah, normally I'm quite reserved. I'm busy. I'm just doing too many things. But I had too many hours on my hand last weekend, and that ended up just blasting something. And not have anything wrong against the project or Jack, but I just spotted some flaws in my opinion, and I just wanted to highlight them. So that was about it. But yeah, last time I was on the show was for another controversy.
Yes, another.
Yeah. You had the Gunterino just jumping on me though. So
yeah,
we haven't heard about him too much lately, but
It's gone quiet. I wonder why.
Pretty much building the hype for another coin of the coin. So,
I saw a tweet showing that he is, has an opposite viewpoint to yours about the current project too. So
go figure.
That tends to be the kiss of death. So
I don't know, man. SD's doing all right.
So don't be surprised if in the next couple of weeks, he's finding a new scapegoat to blame about, whatever the price or something else to cloud chase and starting just unramping users on his new token. So
yep.
We can get into all that for sure. Crypto Heartbeat, yes, the band is back together. Gets a little more
minus Vince.
Yes, minus Vince. I mean, he's got the invite, but he's a hard man to get a hold of, and
bailed on us. Got all these riches. And he has no time for us.
I know.
He's getting ready for the HSI auctions, guys. Come on.
Yeah, there you go. So Vince, if you get a break from all those, let me know. But
yeah, come lay down that baseline, man. We need some solidity here. Otherwise, we're going to be off in all the directions. This band is going to be freewheeling before you know it.
I could see Vince as a bass player. I think he's I think he does wind instruments, but I could see him as a bass player.
Slapping the bass, man. Yeah, I could see Vince doing that. What's up, everybody? Identity Block, 43 OG, Hexyquin, PVM. What is up? Hex Element. The crew's back in effect. That's right. Vets in Crypto. Looks like we've got the raid from DJ Cryptomatic. Thank you, Mr. DJ, for that ever so freaky pregame set. We might have to call you Mr. DJ Freakomatic. There were a lot of rated R or worse lyrics in that set. So
I like it. Parental advisory warnings only.
Hexyquin's already asking for Vince. So, I know who you mean.
She said he doesn't come because we bully him too much.
We love Vince.
Yeah, I know.
Big K, go Cubs. And hello there, Hex Siren. Yes, DJ Cryptomatic, freaky deaky. So anyway, that's all the intros out of the way. Thank you, chat, for attending as always as we build the audience here. Any questions that you have, I'm sure we'll get into plenty of topics. I guess we can just start off with a light one. Richard's most recent stream with Hexo, not like too much in that really, but I mean we're forking, I guess, ETH 2 or whatever you want to call it. I mean that's the big one. Thoughts on that? I mean, more difficult? More, does it affect the timeline? Speeds it up? Steph, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, Mr. Developer. We'd
I
like
was
to know.
sure that you would just address me first. Comment on that.
Motley did it.
Yeah. So does it? So there's a lot of questions there. Yeah. Does it change anything in terms of timeline, security, complexity? Well, it depends, right? It didn't give much. He said they are forking ETH 2.0. It can mean different things, right? Are they forking everything? Is this forking sub-module or component of it? I haven't looked into the ETH 2.0 detail myself, so it's really hard to make a judgment call. So if I just to give my 2 cents, it means much more delays. So if some people were speculating that things were around the corner, it depends when they started as well, but it would mean more delays. That's why
It was interesting because I know Alex had like a slightly different take. He, for whatever reason, he thought it might actually be a shorter time frame to bring it to market than BSC. I don't know if that was because of the potential bugs and issues they found when they were forking BSC or what have you. But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, the thing is, like, you can only speculate because you need to make assumption about based on what they're forking and the delta that they want to add on top of that, whatever's the modify. We don't know that delta, right?
Right.
Could be small, could be big. For example, in Ethereum 2.0, you have this 32 ETH validator rotation. If it was as simple as just changing the parameters to, let's say, 1 ETH or whatever the Pulse equivalent, maybe, might just take a week. If they're changing more stuff that they don't like as part of ETH 2.0, might take more time. So are they benefiting from the fact that ETH 2.0 has kind of a deflationary concept built in with a dynamic size block? It's interesting. I don't know, right? So there's a lot of things that they could keep, they could modulate, change. It's not clear, but I understand why Richard would want to do that, right? ETH 2.0 has been more hardened, and you mentioned it, hardened and battle tested than any other blockchain out there, like modern, not only that, if you look for compatibility, right, in tool services, the kind of EIP that made the cut to ETH 2.0 may not be there, not be on the Binance chain. So there's a couple of like benefit that you would get out of forking that one versus anything else.
If you were in this process and on the team, would you keep the BSC validator rotation, or would you go after, or would you just replicate the model that Ethereum 2.0 has? What would you prefer?
You think it's more like your question is more technical, or in terms of consensus or distribution consensus?
The consensus with the different models of validators between Ethereum 2.0 being able to run your own node, and then the validator rotation with BSC. Like, what would be your personal preference to choose?
If I had to make my own chain from scratch, what I would do is I would start with a minimum amount of nodes first, like as centralized as possible, and expand that pool of people that can contribute to the node set or validator set over time, just to onboard more people. I think people want to see, want to understand, use blockchain for what it's meant to be used, and having some sort of feeling or guarantee that their transaction or their wealth cannot be censored, right? So that's why Binance has been onboarding a lot of users, but there's still a stigma against it, right? Who is actually from the institutional side, or a lot of who is building on Binance? I mean, I'm not building on Binance. I don't know. Maybe there's a couple of games there. So it really depends what your objectives are, and in the short term, mid-term, and long term. But I would have some sort of hybrid model where I start with a small set of validators and I increase that. I think that the requirements of 32 ETH on Ether, I completely agree with Richard. It's actually defeat the purpose of centralization, because now you need to pull everything together towards like one single actors. Like I think Lido and Rocket Pool. Lido and Rocket Pool are kind of centralization.
Two largest. Yeah.
And so it defeats the whole narrative that they have around decentralization. They have a lot of nodes actually. Out of that, Ethereum was fairly decentralized, and ETH 2.0 is kind of centralizing things a bit more because of that 32 ETH parameter, right? So.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I think that ETH 2.0 is definitely a better fork of it. I'm so glad they don't have anything on BNB anymore. And then we saw the issues. I mean, if we would have gone to the marketing space as a marketer and I told you that PulseChain was a fork of Binance Smart Chain, there would have been a lot of people out there that said, I'm not using that shit.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Now we're saying
Eric Wall was giving us shit for that for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So now we have ETH 2.0. What are they going to say now? Come at us now, boys. Come on.
I do like us being eligible in the future as Ethereum 2.0 updates. Like we should potentially be eligible for those as well. So I do like that aspect.
There's also a couple of other pointers to mention. I was just discussing in the green room before with Randy that when you see a product on the market that you want to improve upon, just start from what's best out there and modulate a couple of parameters, right? So is it better just to work off the BSC chain or the Ethereum 2.0 chain and then change a couple of parameters that you don't like? I think the latter option seems more reasonable. So I think Richard have been very pragmatic. Say, hey, I was making a goal of beating ETH 2.0 to market. I failed delivering that promise. Now I need to adjust and say, hey, let's try to build off the better product out there.
He frames it better than him failing, but yes, essentially. He's much better at framing it. But yeah, essentially that's what took place, I think.
He's good at framing, so.
Yes, he is.
Don't anybody snip that and use it against us.
Big K, you were going to say something maybe? Saw you unmute. Yeah.
No, I was laughing along with everyone.
We need a laugh track. All right. Anyway. And another, just like this is really small, and since Big K is over there and present, this is just a fun little topic. The Aussie stream on Discourse Hexlate Show, I think 2 days ago now, it just brought up as a topic or a question. Day 43 did. Should, or I guess that's the proper way, should PulseChain ideally launch before the highest of stakes or after, just to maximize any kind of marketing purposes, or it just doesn't matter? It was just a fun little interesting discussion today.
I would love for they would be somewhat simultaneous or like somewhere close, because it does give people a call to action. Like, here's where you go now. Like, if you can watch the movie and then get on the chain, that would be fantastic, Yeah. But like, if that's not the case, it's not the end of the world. I have absolutely no control over either side of those things, So like, I can be like,
right.
Launch it now, Big K. Press the button.
Richard,
Netflix, HBO. Tell us.
Neither one of those gentlemen are gonna just do what I tell them to. So, I'm at the whims of everyone else's fancy, So yes, I can speculate and say would love that, love that. But and if we get a little bit of delay here, maybe it's it ends up that way, serendipitously. We hope so. But I don't think anyone should hold back either side of it.
Yeah. When do we get an ice cream?
I want ice cream.
We do have ice cream in here waiting. I got to get it inside. We just pulled up, so I'll catch you all in my office here in a second. So
all right, sounds good.
Sounds good.
I would prefer that it gets launched prior to the show, because that if the show goes first, all the shit talkers are going to come onto Twitter and onto TikTok and talk bad about us because our project is not.
That'll happen regardless. But the documentary is more focused around Hex in general, correct? So it's not. You still have the call to action to the Hex and the Hex ecosystem. Yeah,
I don't know. I haven't seen the documentary yet. I don't know if it talks about PulseChain or not.
Well, it can't talk about PulseChain too much. It doesn't exist.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it's more Hex focused, Richard Hart focused. I don't know. Obviously, Big K can give us a little bit more insight to that when he comes back. But if I had to bet right now, I'd say the documentary is probably more on track to launching before PulseChain at this rate.
I would also prefer, for similar reasons, that the documentary comes first, because imagine the document comes after. Actually, the reverse for another reason. So I'm a bit ambivalent on my call here, because imagine that the documentary comes first, and now you have and become very successful. It's all that we hope for the documentary, but then you have an army of people now looking up for Richard Hart.
That's what I'm saying.
All the project, They start saying, "Oh, there's a sacrifice. Okay, let's go. Let's sacrifice some money." You're gonna find you're gonna see like, bad behaviors occurring there. So ideally, you want these things to coincide as much as possible, but obviously that's almost unlikely to happen.
And I don't like the whole idea that people are thinking that we're going to wait for Uniswap version 3 to be available. I don't like that idea. Just launch it and just have the upgrade later.
Yeah, V2 is nice. And I think he did mention, though, that we should definitely have limit orders. So that'll help.
Yeah. And most people that making commentary about, Unity V3 don't provide liquidity. Very few. I know. I know.
Or like a couple $1,000.
Yeah. Like
yeah.
Baby scraps. Yeah.
Yeah, footsteps. I don't understand how anyone could doubt RH. He's the one that wants PulseChain to be awesome. He has his name on it. Yeah, fair point. Yeah, so no like minting of PulseChain coins, from extra sacrifices or anything like that. But or speaking of such things, I have some interesting tweets up here. Shall we look at these?
Here we go,
Stef, because there's plenty to talk about, and you were like, man, you could just bring them up and talk about them without me on the show. But since we are so glad to have you on the show, let's talk about some of these, shall we? This one, we can name the coin or not. People will figure it out sooner or later. As predicted, the proof of bot coin is getting owned by bot builders. The top one holder already owns 35% of the supply. It's a centralized exchange, in quotes, first principles of crypto. And ETH holders continue to rejoice. I mean, that's the one good side of it. If you do hold ETH, which I do. But yeah, let's just jump in like cannonball style to this, because this has been pretty much all the talk, because again, it is a bear market. And in bear markets, there are people just pick shiny new objects or dull objects, whatever you want to call this object, to talk about because it's a distraction. And I know even within the community, I mean, there are people that I respect in this community that have strong feelings on both sides. Motley was joking, I guess, in the green room that I'm Switzerland because I'm neutral on this thing. But you're I guess we kind of know your thoughts, but would you like to expand on and just jump right in?
Yeah, I think first of all, I just made a tweet before the show that I'm no maxi of any people token. I'm a freedom maxi. I focus on first principle, on values, and then people do whatever they want with their money. Right? I'm not going to tell you this is what you need to buy or don't buy. The only thing I can do is a bit of voice or influence, the little amount of influence that I can bring. It's like, hey, I've tried to analyze that situation, and this is my thinking, right? And then you do whatever you want. Here, last week, I just wanted to have a bit of fun, providing a bit of insight and a bit of entertainment. So I went on making a series of maybe, 100 tweets about that proof of bot coin. I think it's the first time I come out publicly negatively about another project. And here, it was just based on the simple analysis that, proof of participation or fair launches never worked. There's no evidence in the past. It has been tried before. It never worked. And it's always the same thing. Someone is exploiting pragmatically the system. So I could not come up with a rationale why such a simple idea would work now when it didn't work before. You could say, well, if you duct tape some of the proof of weight features that comes in, maybe it makes it better. But if I was building a bot, I would try to mint across all the different terms it could mean for, right? And do that on a regular basis. And I would try to do it at the time where the gas price is the lowest. And I know you can do that because we do it at Staker programmatically. We have bots monitoring the gas price over time, doing AI prediction on the future gas price at any given point in time so that we can give the best deal for our users. So I have some technical expertise that led me to believe that if I was building bots against that token, I would just get more of it faster at a better rate than anyone else. And if someone were to buy it on the market through a DEX, I would arbitrage that down, and over time, you would have like near parity between the minting, the minting cost in terms of gas fees versus what you can buy it on the market. And so the regular retail holder will come in and say, well, I tried to get something, but the edge is already out there, it's no longer there. So you were just buying, even if for a few cents, things are at a loss, and it's just a waste of time. You just create waste, energy, and promises for something that, in my opinion, is doomed to fail. There's still a silver lining, right? Even if you believe that, for whatever reason, it becomes a meme coin, the tokenomics don't make sense, but it becomes a meme coin similar to Shiba or Dogecoin is a bit the bad example because there's a lot of inflation.
I think Bitcoin's a great example because it like hyperinflates like crazy, but every once in a while it does have a little pump,
Yeah, I mean, it can make money, but then you're just gambling, and you need to be honest. Like you need to have Elon Musk just making a tweet saying, "Hey, just buy ZEN." That's your game plan, right? So I don't think it's wise just to have people. I understand it's bear market, shiny object, but I don't think it's wise just to get people too hyped up about something that are flawed in their design. Imagine Rich Jack had came out and said, well, I don't like the OA, very upfront, right? He said, I don't like the OA, the initial distribution is too flawed, it will limit adoption, I don't like the bigger pays better bonus because it advantages people that already have money to get even more and more edge. He could have said, well, I love the delayed gratification aspect, I'm going to remove this parameter from the contract and try to copycat with a better design. It's not what he did. He just added this kind of a proof of gas, proof of bot that just create an edge for people that can create bots. That's what he did.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too.
If it works, let's say it becomes a meme coin. I didn't finish my point. If it becomes a meme coin, that means that imagine a world where half of the planet end up buying ZEN on whatever chain. It means that you need the gas on whatever native currency in this chain to buy the ZEN, right? And so you end up anyway being better off just holding the gas itself because there's going to be infinite demand for the gas because someone will try to mint this ZEN out of that native currency. And so the game theory suggests that if it were to work anyway, things would collapse because buying the native currency on whatever chain it becomes deployed makes more sense, right? If I were to believe that ZEN was successful, I would tell my parents just buy the native token where ZEN is deployed because it's a bit better longer term. I mean, I'm not short term. You can have price pump and whatever, but I'm not interested in this kind of game because most likely I'm gonna win it. I can trade easily and make money out of you. So if you want to give me your money, fair enough. But I don't suggest the market just to do that or retail investor to do that.
Yeah, I just don't like the dynamic that doesn't make sense to me out of all of it is how on earth are you supposed to onboard the world with this currency in a way where if you onboard the world and more people use this, like keep clicking the button, then the gas fees get so high that it becomes untenable for small people to even onboard. Like that by the nature of it, your idea of onboarding the world is to increase the gas fees, like by the dynamic of the system. So like, well, how does that help?
I asked Jack directly too, because my issue with it, so it seems like his concept was like this, like, or at least his goal or what he states publicly is like to onboard the world into crypto, right? That seems to be the narrative that he wants for this token. But like, I was talking to Dixon Piper about it, and he brought up a really good point. It's like the steps from A to Z to get a no coiner to where they can buy ZEN is the exact same as like any other crypto. And like, why are people here? Like, really, like, why are they here? And it's 99% are here to get wealthy. Like, their money is being devalued everywhere else by every government body. So, like, without the gains, and if you have an equal amount of steps from A to Z to get a no coiner into crypto, like, how is ZEN actually getting no coiners in? Where, in fact, I don't think that's the case. It's getting a lot of degens that are already here in crypto. It's like, oh, it's free, or I just have to pay gas. Sure, then they participate, and that's what we've seen. We've seen the bots. Obviously, these exchanges have the bot armies to just outcompete everyone. We've already seen it with MEXC and Huobi, and I think maybe FTX now was the vulnerability they found. So it's just like is it really first principles? Is it really going to onboard the world? It's a nice flowery narrative, but it doesn't make sense when you lay it out. And I asked Jack, and he just kind of skirted around the question. So I don't really know what the point is. I'm just kind of watching to see what he does in the future. If there's another angle at this, maybe the crypto is not actually it. Maybe there's something else he's working on beside the scenes, and he's just using the crypto as a marketing tool, because yeah, it's just kind of a net negative drain with gases. And so we've seen it does draw a lot of attention from the exchanges, and people are willing to list it because they make their money off volume and fees. So sure, they can game the system. So I'm just curious to see where he takes it, because in my opinion, it just doesn't make sense as a onboarding tool to the world. It sounds nice, but it just doesn't make sense for how the token operates. The tokenomics are terrible for price appreciation when you have a arbitration ceiling when it comes to the gas price. It just doesn't make sense.
And Jack should know better, because he worked at Google, exited quite early with like I think he was post IPO, and then he went on different business ventures. One of them being ImageTrack, very popular tool. So he knows about startup. He knows about fixing pain point. This is what you do when any kind of entrepreneurship. If you want to be successful, you might have the product wrong or the timing wrong, but at least your solution should be trying to fix something, a pain point in the marketplace, right? So I'm like, Jack, what are you trying to fix? Okay, onboarding. Yeah, no, you're not reducing friction from my money to, you just mentioned that. Fair lunch, yeah, it's just a narrative. We've seen it doesn't work, right? And you didn't simulate what could happen. And is a technology savvy, so he should have known. He should have known that bot would just.
That was something that I brought up today, and that like this is frustrating to me. Like, I mean, before Hex was launched, I mean, Kyle wrote, there was 2 different simulation programs that were written to like model out the game theory, all the possible variables, so we could actually see what the system might look like in the future. I haven't seen like there's almost none of that, and what there is like I mean, I just don't understand why there wasn't more testing in like for everybody to see that these, how these models might have worked one way or another. I mean he said he wrote, like, did the entire contract in what, 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. Like, it seems there's a lot and then there's this level of me that feels like I'm living in some kind of crazy fake news world where like he launches the contract and is like, there's a bunch of issues that people are like, what about this, what about this, what about this, and he's like, success, let's do it again, same exact way. And you're like, wait, can we stop for a second? And he's like, no, we're actually doing it a third time. And you're like, okay, cool.
There's a lot of stuff that just doesn't add up. That's why it just kind of makes me think, is there something planned down the road that where the crypto isn't the actual like priority with him? Like, does he have something else that he's going to use that crypto that he's created as leverage? Like, he's already used it to like gain a lot of attention from centralized exchanges. Is there another play that he's making down the road that we're just not privy to?
Farming the data.
Yeah, farming data. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not in Jack's mind. I can't speak for him. And it was funny because I actually kind of called him out a little bit on GRC stream, because I was listening to a Spaces where, again, we had this nice flowery narrative of first principles of crypto, onboarding the world. It all sounds nice. But then like he was doing a Spaces with centralized exchange, which is nothing wrong with that. But, it almost seemed like idolizing these centralized exchanges. But the guy actually asked a question at one point. It was just like, hey, it seems like this token has gotten a lot of traction. Is there some sort of central community that has picked up ZEN? Where is all this adoption coming from? It's really interesting. Obviously, it caught their eyes on the exchange, and the Saints designed to be gas heavy. So that's what they pick up on. And I instantly could just sense Jack, like his wheels spinning on how he could politically navigate it. And he went way around his way to not mention the Hex, the community, any of it. It was just like, oh, I was early to Twitter, came back, had a bunch of followers. Elon was going to buy it. And it was really the Twitter community. And then I started doing some streams. And then, yeah, they said, make a token. So I made a token. Then 6 weeks later, we're here. So it's just like, I don't know what his intentions are. I'm not in his head. And I just thought it was very interesting to politically navigate around, not mentioning a crypto that supposedly it follows the same guidelines and core principles that he supposedly believes in. First principles of crypto, no admin keys, trustless yield. This is like all the stuff we're here for. And he went out of his way not to mention it when he's more or less like come into the community and bootstrapped his project to it. So kind of called him out on that, and he gave me an answer that really wasn't sufficient for me. It was just like, oh, I didn't want to promote anything, yada yada yada. But yes, so far I have thousands and thousands of hours of Richard to kind of gauge him as a person. And so far, Jack seems like a nice guy, but I've seen a lot of his stuff where his actions don't quite line up with what he says or some of the principles he claims to be pursuing. So I find that interesting. Again, just kind of keeping an eye on things as we move forward.
Going on that greater theory, what if this was a test, like you were saying, for another token or the first step in another token, even more gas intensive, and that launched right before PulseChain? That would be kind of cool, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be a great marketing tool. But I do have something to say about this. My friend who knows nothing about crypto, who I got into Hex, sub a penny, he messaged me last night at 11 p.m. said, "Hey, are you getting into the Zen thing? All my buddies are telling me to get into Zen." I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I know these guys know nothing about crypto. And how do they know about this tiny little project that didn't exist 2 weeks ago? And they're discussing it, and they don't own Hex. I said to him, did you tell them to get into Hex? No, they don't own Hex. They think it's a scam. I'm like, fucking hell, man. What is wrong with these people? I did like 45 wallets for Zen on the first day. But I wasn't one of these people that paid $40 per transaction. I lowered my GUI and I let it go through. I had 5 wallets that failed, right? That's all. I was done after that.
So that comes back to the argument of marketing. You could easily argue that Jack is a better marketer than Richard based on the level of adoption, price he got for free or listing. You have other community you have other communities that happen. Like if you look at the Shiba Inu, they created their Twitter account in March or April 2021, and they have more than 1 million followers, right? You have the Safe Moon, same thing, more than 1 million. You have this project that managed to acquire a lot of brain attention on the planet, much faster than Richard would ever do. So he's claiming to be the greatest marketer out there, but I say no, there's people doing better than you. Jack is an example. But you could be a good marketer and marketing a shitty project, right? Or something that floats tokenomics. So you need
I still think, Steph, I still think he vampire attacked us, and we are the best marketing team in crypto, and we got the word out.
Most resilient.
I'm not trying to take a stance on that exactly, but it feels like that. And like you can just he's been asked about that. Hey, why have you solely done interviews in crypto on Hexagon's channels and nowhere else? And he's like, yeah, they'll get around to calling me eventually, But like if you go look at like even the Telegram, go look at Jack's Telegram, and there's only like 6 groups he's in, and they're all Hex groups. So like it's not like he's going outside of that sphere yet, or at least it hasn't seemed like it yet. Like it's I'm if anybody has like I don't know I agree that it seems like his marketing is obviously whatever it is working better now. But again, the difference is that like there's a big difference between people clicking and spending a couple $1 million in gas and like actually locking up millions of dollars for long periods of time. There's sort of like, to me, it's very different things. And like, yeah, you can get someone to do the one thing, but like, can you get them to show up? It's going to be interesting to see if the price is at next to nothing, or like you can't even, it's less than a GUI or whatever. You'd wonder if you can get those same people to come back and even claim those coins,
There's also the factor that like Jack is very different than Richard, right? Like different strokes for different folks. And Richard's very abrasive, in your face, aggressive, flashy, or at least that's where he's currently modeling his marketing after. And then you have Jack come in, and I forgot, I think I was having this in the Telegram discussion or whatever. I was like, the Hex and like the Hex community is always like that, like girl that's like trying to get a prom date, but like no one wants to ask us. So anytime someone with any sort of like fame or notoriety comes and accepts our community, we're like really happy. We're like, yes, this person might take me out to the prom. So, Jack came in, nice guy, very pleasant, very opposite of kind of Richard's approach. So some people relate to that more than others. And then, again, the Hex community, we get bashed down so much. We're much more willing to be opening and just like maybe they'll take us to prom, and then every time we just never learn, right? Like because then you get the wind just goes out of your sails. It's like
they're using you.
Yeah. It's like, oh, he didn't mention Hex or the community when asked directly what was the success of Zen, and like, oh shit, it happened again.
I think it was. I would say that it was fairly transparent, right? He may have, for philosophical reason, aligned with your philosophy. Or you look at Richard. I think he received a postcard. You learn about Hex. Wow, this is very interesting. And yeah, the principle are sound. People are dealing with education, their holdings, having their own keys. All the trades on Uniswap. It's like, oh, I love all these parameters. It may have come up being uneasy with some other parameter of the Hex ecosystem, right? Could be the OA, whatever. Some people may be uneasy and say, well, what if I was improving on top of that and just trying to create a marketing buzz on my coin by making everything free or creating that narrative of fair lunch? So I think he succeeded. You have to grant the guy. He succeeded. Randy just mentioned the example of his friend calling him up. Kudos to Jack to make it happen. It doesn't mean that the project will be successful, and I don't personally suggest people around me just to invest into it. But he's been doing a great job. I don't think he really vampire attacked us. I think he was fully aligned. And first of all, when you deal with people, you need to assume incompetence instead of malice. And I think he rushed it a bit too fast. There was no really real reason for Zen to be launched that quickly without doing more simulation or testing of different parameters. Actually, someone asked him, say, "Oh, why do you want to launch before the end of September?" I said, "Oh no, we need to go fast. We already have the audit," and he felt a bit rushed, right? The way he wanted to put that to market. But
yeah, I mean, he launched it on 3 different chains in like 4 days. It seemed, like I said, I thought that there should be a little space or some, this worked, this didn't, let's make this better or something. I just can't, it was strange to me that and to Motley's point, I do feel like it was, I mean, he was asked pretty directly, like, yo, and like not even like I had an interview with Richard. Or
it doesn't get more direct than how that guy asked it.
The whole Obi guy was like straight up was like, was there any community or any other project that you can attribute any of this success to? And he's like, chirp 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 chirp. And then when brought it up later, his claim was that he was just he had never even talked to an exchange owner, and he was so like just nervous in the moment and didn't know what to say. You're like, what? Like, get out of here. I mean, you work for Google and like you're nervous and didn't know what to say to some exchange owner.
To me, it's very clear. Jack's very intentional with how he speaks, and he knows the negative stigmas and connotations that come with mentioning Hex in the community. And I think he was very smart in how he just avoided mentioning it completely. And if you want to give me some other BS narrative of why you didn't mention us, that's fine. But I don't know 100% because I'm not his head, but I disagree. I don't think he's being honest with himself.
No, and I've seen him do it a couple different times now, where whether it be the way that the interaction about Richard and the OA came across, or whether it be that question that you had mentioned, or there's something else that somebody brought up in that group. Like he's claimed, I've seen it on 3 separate occasions, that he's been like English as second language. Just claimed like ignorance to the dynamics of the language, and you're like,
same with Stef.
I've never heard. That's not.
Listen, guys. In the end, we wined and dined. We paid for the gas, and we went home with blue balls.
Yep, we didn't get it finished,
and we're pissed about it. We got a chip on our shoulder. That's why.
Steph, I was wondering if you could, I don't know if you looked into it, but could you maybe elaborate on, I know there was something about a user via FTX that was using some way to mint more of the tokens without actually having to pay the claim fee and the gas fees. Would you be able to expound on that, or how it works if you actually run your own?
No,
I looked at.
Okay, go ahead. A little bit. Yeah, actually, I may look like someone very knowledgeable about Zen and all that stuff. I read quickly the stuff. I just wanted to have fun on Twitter last week. I don't really know.
No, I guess that FTX has some kind of deal where there's like low. You don't there's no fees to withdraw, but there's fees on one side, but not on the other. And so somebody figured out that they could game it so that they could get like not have to pay Gwei gas fees, and we're minting for free basically. But I mean, again, I'm pretty sure I still haven't heard anybody like explain the fact that like a validator with empty space in the block could basically do the same thing. You know, like I'm not.
I think someone brought that up as well.
And like that's still never been. No one's like Jack's not like, oh, that's something to think about. He was like when somebody first brought it up, he was like, oh, let me look into that, and then like again crickets afterwards.
I am curious because so you do have that ARB ceiling of the gas price and the difference between minting. I am curious as time goes on, and yes, it's a long period of like I think a little over 8 years, but as the minting does decrease and like time becomes more valued over the gas price, like do we see a change in the trend of price at all? But like the question then becomes like, okay, right now who are all the buyers of ZEN? It's just bots. When it no longer becomes profitable for bots to arbit, is anyone else going to buy it? I don't know. I think that's kind of the big question, but I'd be curious to see as that goes on over time.
Yeah. That's the thing is where's the bot? I mean,
I have an opinion on that too. Yeah, if things, there's inflation for the first years, and then it's mostly related to the yield that you get out of like locking your tokens. But at some point, these things gonna be just a regular, staking coins where you lock and you get more, get a bit more the more you lock. I think also the inflation being paid decrease over time
to 2%.
So the question is going to be which kind of a smart contract, a staking contract, where you time locked your coins gives you more yield. That's going to be the question. So I think.
And the thing is, I still think there's an OA at the end of it all, and that's just whoever minted all these coins to begin with, like the bots.
Right now, it's the centralized exchanges. The first principle of crypto is the OA is the centralized exchange. Or someone made a really funny meme where it was like it had like a Zen Buddha for the OA for Hex, and then it showed Zen's OA, and it was like a girl with like 50 phones just pressing buttons.
Well, what about like that point though? Just in general, like. That's an attack on Hex that Hex gets all the time. Not just talking like a Zen or anything like that, but like other coins. It's like, oh well, you have an OA and that's bad. And like Randy and I were mentioning in the green room, that's good. Like, what has the OA ever done bad?
Yeah.
And
you can at least point your finger at the guy who has the wallets that have all these coins. Whereas like with Zen, you're just like, or any of these like any projects that have mass inflation like that, you don't know which one of these accounts that has all these early supply is going to dump.
Chinese exchanges have all this supply.
I think the best thing we can do is just being very specific. What do we mean by it's good or it's bad? Give me a very concrete argument why the OA is good versus having these tokens being locked into a contract that nobody can touch. The yield will still be there, the market cap will still be there. So when someone say the OA is good, you need to be very specific on why you think
why it's good.
It could be good. Nobody, I've never heard anyone in the community saying, "Well, this is why it's good." So people need to be very, very specific because there's a lot of people that don't like the OA.
Did you see my post the other day, Steph? Did you see my short? I made a nice short about it.
Evidently,
I don't leave my life. Sorry, Randy. Sorry.
I just did this 2 days ago, right? I made a short about this. I said, listen, the OA is there to protect our yield. If you want 3.69% yield, Richard, go ahead and burn all the entity, the OA. Go ahead and burn all of the OA tokens, and get 3.69%, or we can continue to earn between 36 and 38% yield for our long-term stakes by keeping the OA around. That's my argument for why I think the OA is a great thing. And guess what, guys? In December, 3 years old, Hex.
And there's a good chance that the OA is providing a lot of liquidity too, right? Like, I mean, who's providing liquidity for Zen? Fuck that! Like you get destroyed right now. No way.
I think it would be a bit foolish just to dismiss the argument that the OA can only be good for the ecosystem. It's a risk, and you need to acknowledge the risk and say what are the chances for some bad moves to happen with the OA. The thing is like when you have such a large entity controlling the destiny of the project, you need to ask yourself, okay, this is the new Fed. Do I trust the Fed? Who's behind the Fed? Do I see the distribution? Is that behind the trust or multi-sig? I'm not trying to fight. I'm just trying to be very realistic. Most people saying it's good.
The
market cap and the inflation, the 36% inflation being paid to stakers, it could be locked into a smart contract that nobody touches, right? So it could be liquid there. It could be partially liquid. Why that 90% amount and not 50%? Right, everything is up for debate. And if you don't want to address these things very specifically on why the design is, you're just putting your answer in front of your eyes. And there's very few people in the community that are just describing in detail why that level of distribution is important and why not a lower amount.
Well, and I feel like I was something that like we talked about a lot more ad infinitum, like the first year or two, you know, when we were defending things a lot more. And I don't think you're right. It's not something that's talked about a lot. I mean, I also like people to be a little more specific in that, like the OA itself and all of its daughter addresses really aren't going to ever have more than 50%. There's also these benevolent whale addresses that are I mean, I'm not saying that they're not somewhat controlled or act very similarly, but they are on chain analysis. They are different. You know, there's 50% or 40 some odd percent in the OA, and there's 40 some odd percent in these, you know, benevolent whale addresses. So it's not like and that's something specifically different. And they can both, because of that like loose association, you know, they can both kind of do different things. You know, one I feel like has a better propensity to provide liquidity. And I mean, as well as if there are other forks, you know, some reason Hex was forked and there was some malicious nature to it, unless those people move all those coins out of nature. This
argument is a shitty argument, right? If I want to fork X, I can just do its analysis and just remove this address
and just get them all out of there. True.
It's a shitty argument. Anyone just using the argument doesn't understand blockchain.
The funny thing about the OA though is, like, I mean, almost most cryptos have a form of the OA, because it really is just a centralized entity that owns a majority of the coins. And a lot of people just don't realize it because they're not as transparent as Hex is with it and what the OA is. And like, it's funny because we get the most flack for it, but all these other centralized entities that own 30, 40, 50, 80, 90% of the tokens, they're much more malicious. You can follow it on blockchain when they sell, and they all have some to me, an OA is just an entity that has a majority of the token supply. And then you just look at its behavior, which you can watch on blockchain. And a lot of that's just obscured and people just don't make that transparent. Whereas in Hex, we're very transparent with our trading, with the OA. Our community is very good at tracking all this stuff. Gunther, back in the day before he lost his marbles with PLSD, was all about the audit, which was really cool. But yeah, like I find it funny that the OA gets the most flack when it's one of the most transparent, and so far most. Well, I mean,
that was one of those, like, I mean, Hexo used to do those memes back in the day where it's like you go through Etherscan and you can look at all the top ERC20 tokens and just be like filtered by top 100 addresses, and it's all 60 to 80% in those top 100 addresses. You know, it's
there's
your
OA.
I mean, I would say it's somewhat transparent and somewhat non-transparent, right? Tomorrow the OA could say, well, I'm staking all my tokens, and then all the inflation gets put back to 2.69% for everybody. So now, you know, you could make the claim why the DOA would do that, but the fact to know that it's a possibility that there is a large actor that is kind of be acting as a Fed cannot be dismissed, and that's the reason why some people don't want to join the project, right? So, and maybe this is the opportunity for all of us, right? If DOA remains benevolent for all the time, well, people will figure out over time, and you're gonna have this Lindy effect kicking off. You know, after 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years of DOA not moving any token, some points it's gonna be too late. If you join 10 years from now, it might be a bit too late to get the most of the gain. So, right. But I really don't want to dismiss that this is a risk that everybody needs to be comfortable with when investing or staking. There's one key element that changed the game last year during the sacrifice phase for PulseChain. Is any claim that EOA, for whatever reason, would dump some coins, now lose credibility because there was so much stable coins sacrificed, or other tokens apart from X sacrificed them to the OA related entity, that if that whatever entity needs some cash or money, there's hundreds of millions of dollars in USD in stable coins to be used before selling the X tokens, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that was like a argument that people could make earlier too with the adoption amplifier ETH too.
The sacrifice,
like,
yeah, the ETH, the ETH,
yeah. Now some people might argue that, you know, how much ETH was there really, blah blah blah, you know, but yeah, I agree with all of that, you know, and you're right to being more specific is better, you know.
It's always a good thing.
And I think that, like, if the ratio of APY stays the same, and in 8 to 10 years the OA is significantly diluted, then that's, you know, it's fulfilled its objective anyways, you know. I think that's
and maybe the OA does stake later on to reduce APY. Like, we don't know, right? Like Stef was saying, it does have that ability. So you have to be aware of that going in.
I mean, it's done it before. So
yeah, I mean, in the beginning it staked, and I think it quickly realized it was eating into too much of the returns, so it backed off. But it doesn't say in the future, once we get to like the 5-10 year mark, it's like, okay, these people are making $100,000 a day. Maybe I'll cut down the APY. Like, it's a balancing act, right? With price appreciation, maybe the APY goes down.
At some point,
keep the health of the ecosystem.
It's just a matter of, you know, probabilities. If you think that given the past 3 years and the amount of wealth surrounding the OA, that none of that this token is going to be sold or impacting too negatively the APY. You know, if you think that, you know, 0.0001% of chance of that happening, then it's good enough, right? You can make the gain during that period, and that's a risk you can live with. So that's the way you need to look at things.
It's going through some comments in chat.
Chat is a real cesspool right now.
Yes, we have.
I've been avoiding it.
I haven't even looked.
Yeah,
we have Dan Smith creating crypto band names. So that's
I like Twitney Spears. That's pretty good.
That's good. Limp Brisket. We have nickel-backed stablecoin. Some Alicia public keys.
Furu fighters.
Furu fighters. Yeah.
I don't understand the chat. I don't understand.
Just American names, yeah. I got or band names, whatever. Anyway, I was trying to bring up some more comments of substance here. Hex Down Under, let's stay humble. New guys coming into the community will see Karen behavior. Zen got my no coiner into crypto because it was free. Want to win? Give it. We need to give out free stuff. I mean,
amazing marketing again.
Yeah,
props.
did a great job.
I mean, they talked at length on Hexo's stream about Mr. Beast, and that was actually an interesting conversation because, you know, Richard was like, okay, is that really a good way of doing it? Because you're giving stuff out for free, but then it's like, you know, do they stick around, or are they just like, okay, cool, thanks? And
yeah, I will say I've seen a lot of non-hexicans come in from Jack's project, so there's always the other side of the coin.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sorry, I told you guys earlier, you know, I'm not any coins maximalist. I'm a freedom maximalist, and I like to make money. So if I saw an opportunity to make a lot of money, if I saw an opportunity to make a lot of money on Zen, and maybe
melt
just
Zen for everything it's worth,
put that back into X later, I would have done it like heavily, right? So it's, you know, it's bear market. Smart people put a lot of USD on the side. So, you know, I'm ready to deploy. If there's a good project out there, I'm ready to deploy, you know, at any point in time. So
Vets in Crypto, by the nature of the repetition of creating, this is interesting, creating wallet and adjusting gas, in the process of all that, I personally became more intimate and familiar with my MetaMask wallet.
Yes, exactly.
I mean,
good education.
Yeah, I mean, it was an education tool at my worst.
A failed transaction or two you'll realize really quickly it's not free, and you'll up your education.
Learning from failure.
Speaking of good projects that we touch on, I wasn't here for part of it, but we touched on in a month all the T-shares that are going to be up for sale.
We have not. How many of those? I don't have it in front of me.
It's over 50,000. I know that.
Yeah, last time.
Where's Crypto Sloth when we need him?
50,000 mark.
Does that start on the 13th? I believe
November 13th is like
November
the first
13th.
big day.
I'm supposed to be doing an interview with Corey Costa that day. I don't know. We might put that off. I might be busy.
Big can't be on this freaking laptop. Like, yeah.
I do have some Hedron guests, hopefully booked for that week or that happy hour whenever that falls along that time, because that should be an interesting time. I mean, Access was on.
You should get Cryptographics. He's really good with the
yeah, I've
numbers
already
and stuff when it comes to Hedron.
Yeah, we're in talks. I put a bug in his ear the last time Sloth was on. He couldn't make it, and so hopefully him and Sloth.
Yeah, we were talking in the green room about it. I'm like, I mean, I'm pretty excited. I think it's like some of the more, I mean, sure, there's a lot of talk about this and shit, but like, I think it's some of the more exciting stuff going on right now is going to be this auction and like how it all shakes up, and like the numbers on it are pretty impressive. I popped into one of those Telegram rooms and just ended up shooting the shit on the voice chat with everybody for a while about it. I was like, it's impressive the amount of the burn rate that's going to happen, and like how many of those auctions are going to, and then just to see the Maxi, Poly, whatever, those dudes, attempting this,
that'll be interesting
contract. I mean, like, I'm not saying anybody should use it or not or whatever, but like, it's cool to see them like coding on stream, trying to make something unique happen. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to it that's going to be super hard to get to even work right by then, but like, I mean, I don't see that kind of live stream shit happening in any other community ever.
Yeah.
Like,
it's cool.
It's like hackathon shit, it's pretty cool to see,
Yeah, I had a call with Deepcatcher the other day. We were talking about integration into Staker app, all the things we could do, short term, long term, and everything. And I told him, like, I'm very, very impressed, not only with the how solution oriented you are, right? I was making the point, of Jack earlier, in the Silicon Valley entrepreneur, you try to look for problem to solve, right? And here he foresaw something that could be done, right, is to help pulling things together, and not only had the idea, the vision, but he implemented it in very, very nice fashion, creating community engagement around it, and it keeps building on nonstop, and it does it very transparent manner, live. So Deepcatcher and Gorky, amazing guys.
Yeah, to see that and like hearing y'all talk about it, it's like that's the stuff I was saying is super cool to see. There's very few communities that have like multiple projects built on
borderline none.
They're borderline none that have multiple besides ETH or Bitcoin or like whatever that have multiple projects synergizing with each other that are second layer solutions on top of the initial protocol.
Streaming the coding live, like I never see that.
That's super cool, man. Cool. It's just like I mean, as somebody who like used to do, I worked and ran through music festivals for a long time. My favorite moments at like live events were when artists from other acts, collaborated with people, like, and a lot of times it was on the spot. They'd run into each other backstage and be like, yo, shit, yeah, let's do that song. And then they'd be on stage, and you'd be like, this is what I came for. So to see great minds collaborating is like, that's kind of the whole point, And
that was the spiel of Jag saying, hey, I want more crypto education. In a way, what the Deepcatcher is doing is like, role level education where I'm saying, hey, this is how smart contract is being built. I'm trying to demystify the whole process, right? This is a couple of lines of code. This is the reasoning. This is where I'm looking for information. You see him Googling stuff he doesn't know about, building dashboard, everything live. I mean, the level of transparency. This is pure education, right? And it doesn't say, hey, I'm in here for the money. I'm trying to solve a problem that could help a lot of people.
And I mean, you can see that even in like the moments where, like, I mean, when that Zen launched, he was like, yeah, in the time that this project launched, I wrote a bot. Should you want it? And like, you could see he wrestled with the morality on it longer than it took him to actually write the bot. And he was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to, like, most people that are going to use this are just going to wreck themselves. So all good.
Something I got to say about Hedron is that people are talking about this, and I talk about it every single night in my live stream, this is probably the biggest buy the rumor, sell the news event that we have in crypto at the moment, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody. It's like fucking crickets.
I think it's a good good opportunity, but be cautious as well. Just with the macro environment we're in right now, it's pretty freaking nasty. Yeah. But I would tend to agree, but there's also a risk to it as well. So
when there's buy rumors. When there's like these buy the rumor, sell the news, it just depends. Like you said, the macro, like in a bear market, you're like, maybe it'll 2x, in a bull market, you're like, that definite 10x coming here. 10x
coming. I agree with you, Randy. I think you might be more transparent than most people. And within 2 weeks or so, you might see, maybe a price rally and then a bandwagon of like streamers and go, Hedron, and and you would know it's a signal.
Yeah.
And then it'll
I'll do
dump
that.
probably a day or two before the auction, guys. Just saying.
That's how it works.
But yeah,
Be ready.
yeah. I mean, the actual like the metric of the burn, which is pretty impressive. Like, I mean, I think there's like 110 trillion Hedron, and if you do like the quick math,
I can't wait
on it, that like, you know, there's about, if there's 50,000 T-shares up for auction, and even if they're all 15-year 5555 stakes, then a T-share costs around $250 to $300 right now at that rate. So like you're talking like $15 million worth of Hedron at the base. That's at like
Burn.
You know,
Burn, baby.
barely at base rate. You know, and if people
we got this
overpay, then it's a lot
polybot
more.
that we can make overpay.
Which is like, I mean, it's like that's like 4 trillion minimum at base rate, possibly lots more Hedron being burnt regularly. You know,
I have a fat Icosa stake that's just ready to absorb all that. Let it come. Let it come. I can't wait.
Same, brother. Same. What was I gonna ask here? Oh, so Access was on last week, and we talked a lot of price, and I want to get into, I guess, some price and Stef's market/crypto calls, which will come up here shortly, because I think they're fascinating to talk about, given his perspective versus a lot of what we've had on this show and whatnot. But just talking Hedron, go around the room, because Access, I asked him, I was like, do we lose a zero on Hedron on or before November 13th when this auction process starts? He flat out didn't hesitate, said yes. So do we lose a zero? We're at like, I don't know, 5 zeros, 3, 5 right now. Does that
4
go
zeros
to
and a 1?
Yeah, like I said, it's, I mean, in my mind, it's that bear market feels. You get the 2x, the 4x. You know, that's asking for the 3 is, you know, you're like,
don't get greedy.
Don't get greedy. Don't get greedy, everybody.
Look,
I mean, that still would take us to
price calls are stupid, and 90% of y'all are too big of babies if the price calls don't hit when some random person on YouTube gives you one. So there's no point.
I hope we get a new all-time
That'd be
high.
great.
So we're looking at five zeros and a 6-6 or whatever, or 6-7, whatever
around there
the first time. That was the original all-time high. So if we can get back there, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
I think I'm more bullish than that. I don't want to. I'm not gonna say a 10x, but I think we can lose a zero, at least, if not for a little while.
That's like
give price prediction, or you are a scam, Cabana.
You are scam.
You are a scam.
I like how they couldn't even remember Yavin's name, but I could.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Who's that guy? The guy with the glasses.
But Cabana, your prediction is only about a 3.5x, so it's not too.
Yeah, I'm not like
bullish.
going crazy. I mean, if it goes more than that, hooray! But
yep.
Yeah,
a lot of us have a lot of stakes that meant a lot of Hedron.
That's right.
Excited.
I'm fairly. I might just be more bearish than all of you guys. I made an announcement. Are we talking about Hedron specifically?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you're not otherwise, but we'll get into that here shortly. Yeah.
I mean, there might be this rally before the auction, but I'm personally a net seller of Hedron at every single local top that I can find on it. So there's a lot of Hedron. I may have made some couple of tops on Hedron as well. So there's a lot of Hedron that are being minted for free.
We know.
And so
I remember your last Twitter thread of talking about Hedron, and weird that price started going down.
Thank you for the free money. No, I'm being very transparent and honest.
Yeah,
I would not invite someone just to buy something I'm likely selling I got for free. So I'm being very transparent.
It's good.
I tell people all the time, Hex is my long-term investment, and Hedron's by paying my bills. That's how I look at it.
I mean, we've seen it even with Hex. Like you get a run, and people.
It's gonna be a sell-off.
Yeah, well, but I'm just saying, like, people will let it run. Like, once Hex gets off the mat, like a lot of other coins out there, but specifically Hex, because this, we talk about this ecosystem. Once it gets off the mat, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, the sellers will never end." No, they'll end, and they're gonna ride this back up in the bull. It's just you have to be patient, and wait, and not keep selling the bottom down to the mat. So, do you guys think the sheer amount of Hedron burning will make a dent in the price sell-off?
Not right away. I mean, but like, I mean, but like I said, if at min cost, it's like the min bids would burn if they all executed for min bids. You're losing like trillions of Hedron, and it would take. But here's the thing: is we're making more all the time. So like, and if in a year you end up burning 60 trillion Hedron or something, 50 trillion Hedron in a year, from these auctions, then that's half the supply. And they have a SA address that's holding like 40 billion or something like that, 40 trillion or something like that. A lot,
It's trillions probably.
Yeah, 40 trillion. Yeah. So if it burns more than half of the supply in a year, then like it's tough because they're used to buy these T-shares. They're used to buy something that we know has value. You might like that. Definitely, I can definitely see it happening over time, but not right away.
Given my position, I haven't done any like deep analysis for Hedron. I'm a net seller at any opportunities I can find. But has anyone made some sort of analysis or modelization of the issuance of Hedron, right? Whatever's get minted for free versus what's get burned, and what is the net value? Aggressive or conservative projection.
I just loosely started doing that. Like today, I was starting to scratch it all out, and I was like I said, that's why I'm talking about it now. Is because I'm like it's a lot. It's good. I mean, like if it burns as much as it should.
Sloth and Cryptographics, I think, and a few other guys that are really big on Hedron have gone through those numbers. There is a certain threshold where those 10x multiplier stakes, especially a lot of us OGs have, once those start dropping off over time, like, yeah, the inflation rate of Hedron drops off pretty sharply.
Does he goes deflationist or not?
As long as people keep burning the HSIs and the auctions keep happening, yes, for sure.
It goes deflationary in the sense of the T-share too over time. It's just
it just depends on how many people. Like if there's 50,000 T-shares, how many people that buy these in this auction are planning to buy them to keep them, and how many planning to buy them to like recycle them to to keep using them for the system. That's going to matter. It's
going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think that there's going to be like this kind of like for a little while at least, it'll kind of disperse over time, but for a while there'll be like a 80 to 90 day cycle where like these HSIs become available in the auction, they get purchased, the moment comes for them to send them through, so like that. I think we'll kind of see that cycle for a little while, which means like if it's a 90-day thing, then one HSI could technically get cycled through the system 4 times in a year.
Thank you for Bluebum for the information. I would like to see, though, I'm data driven. I'd like to see a chart with different models and over time, what does that look like? What are the assumptions being made? Because these are just words for me, but I like to see numbers.
Yeah, I think we got some community members that will have.
It's interesting because, like, over time, there's like a ceiling price on Hedron and ICOSA that because if you can make an HSI stake for $1,000 worth of hex, and then you could borrow $1,001 worth of Hedron, off of it, then that's the ceiling price, because then you could just redo that over, as much as you'd like, but that's a pretty high price. It's something like 20x higher than what the price is right now.
Yeah, we're pretty ways away from it still.
Yeah. Does anybody know the numbers of the people that missed out on the multiplier? The 10x multiplier, the 9x. What percentage of wallets didn't claim?
I feel like our community was made pretty well aware of it. The ones that are actively involved, like I think that was pretty well.
If I had to go through all my onboards, like ratio wise, it's pretty like 85% got their 10x or 9x.
There could be a fair amount of staker users not knowing about it. I mean, we've onboarded so many mentioned people. There's like some people that just knows about what they see in the app, right? Like Hex, Ether, and USDC. And they are not on Twitter. They're not on social media, right? Yeah. They don't really follow all the activities. So we're more the people that we see on streams or being vocal on Twitter represent a sliver of the actual ex-investor community. That's something we don't always realize when we say, "Oh, the community X." We're talking about maybe 3 to 5% of actual investors. Most people are not on, just maybe watching from far. But
I think it's probably higher than 3 to 5%, but yeah, it's probably less than what most of us would think, just because, like you said, how involved we are in the community and aware of all this stuff. we project that out to what we think all the investors.
Yeah,
are
I mean, a majority of my onboards wouldn't know any of the shit that's going on if I wasn't
without you telling them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I send out the messages all the time, like, all right, guys, free coins or claim this.
We're gonna have a button in the staker app though, because the process of claiming with yourself is a bit convoluted. With V2 is coming out very, very soon. A button, we are discussing it with Fireburn. He made some modification to our backend. A button in the app where you can do one click, claim all the airdrop that you're
That's cool.
eligible for.
That's awesome.
Right? So we bundle all sorts of, thanks to the smart contract and what's called a meta transaction. You can bundle all of transaction together, sign the bundle of transaction, and just issue all at once, right? So we need to be a bit careful the way we do it or the way we announce it, because we make the assumption that a lot of our users haven't minted their Hedron, for example. If we were to send a notification through the app out, say, hey, there's a bunch of free coins for you guys, it might create some self-pressure on the market. So we'll try to be as responsible as possible, not to be other insider advantage of like, hey, we're gonna create this kind of a liquidity event for a lot of people that might impact negatively the market. So we were discussing that with the team earlier, like how do we do that nicely and with as much integrity as possible.
Take as long as you want for that one.
Oh man.
Delay feature.
Yeah. I mean, I also like if you put a button on there that's the second button that just auto sells all of it into Hex. That would be super cool too.
Some people suggested that, say, hey, you could do these things. I say, no, we'll try just to let people claim their tokens. After that,
freedom of choice, Big K. Freedom of choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops.
Blue Bum with an interesting point. It's not a Hedron price ceiling or a Hedron. It's the point where people have more capacity to leverage up. The price can go higher, but that will probably pull the Hex price up. I'm all for that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are swapping their Hedron for Hex too, especially
at certain price points. Yeah.
Yes, and other coins that we know from other Twitter personalities.
I like swapping lots of coins for Hex. Huge fan.
I did that a long time ago, and I'm glad I did. What else do we have here? I did have a question for Stef, but more band names because some of these are just
they'll just keep coming, man. It's
Fleetwood Macro.
The question is
Slippage Knot, DeFi Leopard, and my favorite, Shill Collins.
That's great.
Or Shilly Idol.
Do you think Dan has a list of these already written out that he's just going through?
This is a beast, man.
Can he log in?
There's no way these are just coming up off the top of his head. He's like
Simply red candles.
And just picking them up.
Simply red candles. Green Candle Day.
You should save them, and someone in the meme community just create like posters out of them, like all these movies. That'd be fantastic.
That'd be great.
I mean, that's a nice way. That's a nice way to
too.
think about. It's a nice way to think about onboarding. Imagine you just take like popular movies or people, you kind of like create a nice memes and joke around it, and you just stick the little Hex logo in the corner.
Shit.
All right, they're getting worse, but anyway, yeah. Long time. Who missed me from YouTube? I do, man. Welcome back. So there you go. Stef, you had mentioned logging into, say, a staker app and seeing a variety of statistics. I don't know if you've answered this recently, but is there, obviously it takes time, software takes time, but is there a point in the future, say a year or two from now, where I can log in or someone else can log into their staker app and see not just Hex or eHex, their totals there, but how about prominent coins in the ecosystem, mainly like a Hedron and a Maxi, something like that, or are we just sticking with like eHex, Hex, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of questions from our user base, and we want to support it, but we need to be strategic the way we do it. What is the low-hanging fruit? Where it has the most impact? We have a lot of people using the app, but are not actually our customers, right? They don't use the smart wallet and our contract. They're just using the free version of the app. So, as a business, why should we invest a lot of engineering cycle towards people that are not loyal customers of us? So yeah, we're looking at data, and we'll try to do things that makes more sense for the business. But I mean, just based on principle, if we had infinite amount of time here, we would do it. I don't have anything against Hedron or Maxi personally, Firebun either. I love it. I got a lot of free Hedron, so I love it.
I also
No, we'll
Big
start.
K, yeah, I was gonna say Big K loves that stuff too. So we all do.
No,
really.
we'll start to be a bit more serious. We'll start. We did run to a quick brainstorming the other day. How easily it is for us to allocate your new league, your T-Share, and basically the league level according to what you put into Maxi, or the ratio between what you hold as a Maxi and the T-Share equivalent that you would get if you were to hold the token. We could do that for all the perpetuals.
That'd be
So
cool.
that computation is fairly it's like maybe 5 line of code, so it's not that complex. So it might just be squeezed in as part of the V2 release. For things that are a bit more involved, like building a UI for being able just to re-enable or cash out from your perpetuals, we said that it's not high priority work because even if you look at all the perpetuals, it's very low frequency event. So how much engineering we need to put in just to support like a fairly marginal use case? For Hedron, it's a bit more different. There is a different level of integration that we could do there. One thing that we're trying to balance as well is like we're mostly facing a lot of advanced crypto users, and they're not a primary audience. Our primary audience is like Notcoiners. That was part of the mission initially. How do we make it simple for people? So
advanced users are like, hey, can you build me trading tools in this? You're like,
yeah,
no.
can you do? So it's kind of the tension that we need to solve is like how can we create like a lot of statistical value and levels for advanced users while actually focusing keeping the product simple enough that someone comes in, they don't get overwhelmed. It's like, oh, you got this Hedron stuff, and you can do leverage, and you can do. So we are trying to be very conservative on that front because the premise is just onboarding more users onto Hex. All these fancy, shiny bells and tools are for advanced users that can figure things out by themselves anyway. So
I feel like that would just be like something you would put behind like a paywall anyways. Like users like us would be wanting to use, like would be more than happy to just pay for that. And then that would keep separation between the newcomers and people that want the more advanced features.
Yeah. So we actually, on that note, because we had so much like very specific demand and people are very, very interested in it, it's like, hey, how much are you willing to pay for that feature?
Yeah.
Right. So we are rethinking the business model. Do we do something like a premium plan? Do we launch an NFT and like a way to raise some money just to justify the cycles there so we can hire more people to develop these features? So again, we want to deliver like high quality product it's a freemium model right now before doing any kind of sacrifice or coins or NFT, because we're not here just for a cash grab. Myself and Firebun, we're the co-founder of Staker, and we haven't paid ourselves anything in the past 2 years.
Yep.
Working thousands and thousands of hours, not paying ourselves anything.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Looks like we have some time too before PulseChain launches, so no rush.
So on that note, how would it be like? So doing the perpetuals, like being able to calculate T-share rate, and all that Staker league. Would it be more difficult or something y'all are thinking about to have the HSIs and that side of things too, those NFTs or Watsa NFTs, those kind of things that are out there?
Yeah,
because like the HSIs, I guess, would be T-share rate. The Watsas really aren't, but
as long as I'm not so familiar technically with the Hedron ecosystem, but as long as there is a quick way for us just to build a logical ownership, a relationship with the owner of the HSIs, that should be fine. So right now we're indexing. The way it works, if you want to build statistic on the blockchain are emitting whenever someone is creating a transaction, blockchains are emitting events, log events. So all of nodes have log events. That's what you get basically when using GoDX.com or Staker. It's just a projection of like a node being logging event coming from the blockchain of an action that happened. if you want to build any statistical website, you need to read these events, right? So you subscribe, you pay Infura or other node service providers a bit of money. There's Alchemy, Infura, Quick Nodes, or you can run the node yourself if you want to have all the event on the blockchain, and you choose basically which smart contract you want to listen to. Like, you want to listen to Uniswap trades, you want to listen to Hex events like trading, staking, good accounting, all these type of things. Right now, we're not indexing, for example, the Hedron smart contract event or ICOSA, right? So we need just to do a bit of work to index them, unless I discussed with Alex and there is kind of an API that we can tap into and get the data ourselves. But someone just communicate the data that we have. But yeah, that would require a bit of work just to connect to the data, listen to it, massage the data, and then serve it in the application.
Don't want to make it too fat, though, right?
And to be fair, at the end of the day, all that would be a whole lot of work to be like, hey, check it out, I'm a squid now. You know.
Hey, girl.
Yeah, that's it.
It's all balancing act for sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we'll be just intentional the way we do it. We don't want because we want to make it the most useful for the ecosystem, and I truly believe that the more virality we get, on the product, the more people are staking. They don't need to go all 5, Puerto Cinco. You can stake, first stake could be just, 6 months, 1 year, even if you prefer to push it a little bit more. That's the way people get, a foot in the door. So whatever we can do as a company and we expand our product suite to make it easier for people just to understand the concept of dealing gratification and staking. That's going to be our primary focus above anything else. All this advanced stuff, guys, you can do the competition yourself. If you really want to know which league you belong to, and the other things I think to mention is like, from our perspective, we don't know how many derivative products gonna be built on top of X, right? What if 1 year from now you have like 5 other developers that create competitors to Hedron and Maxi, and now all of a sudden you have all these requests for onboarding these features. We could do that, but then it's another kind of job, right? So.
Yeah, I mean there's a part of me that feels that like, I mean, if there's like just it gets confusing in general. We just have, as Ethereum forked, you've got these 2 other minority forks that are running around. Like if you try and like now instead of a spreadsheet, I need a database to track all my shit. Fantastic. It's like it's just more work to pay attention to all of it.
I mean, if the Hedron community is so adamant about having it and they really want to do it, and even Alex himself is passionate about serving his users that are using stakers, we could just arrange some contract work with him. It's like, hey, just come to a couple of meetings. You build the code. We give you some pointers. You build the code for the app, and you do the work. So,
that'd be cool.
I mean, or if someone in the chat or any engineer out there, developer engineers, want to join the team, we are looking for backend and front-end engineers at any point in time. So feel free just to shoot me a message.
Nice. Love to hear it. Let's see. Shall we move on to another opinion Stef has that maybe some might agree with? Some. I don't want to be Switzerland again, but I guess Motley, you're kind of right. I'll be Switzerland again on this one.
It makes you a great host, all right?
Yeah, I guess so, but I don't mean to fall. Usually if I have an opinion, I'll just come right out and say it. But let's see. So as Big K
is getting ready.
Beautiful.
I don't have popcorn. This will do.
Yeah. So here we go. You had originally tweeted, looks like BTC confirmed its bottom last week. Don't do anything funky, pal. That was September-ish.
Bold statement, sir.
Yeah. And I believe, let me check the date and time. Yes, this was just a few hours ago. My confidence just moved from 70 to 90% on that very call. We've had Wendy's, Dixon Piper, some very respectable people in the community offer their takes on price. A lot of people are bearish. We know Richard Hart is very bearish. I mean, he's still, I think one of your tweets was the 11K meme is cute and all, but so what makes you so bullish here? Oh yeah, I'm looking at 11K and pray is a nice meme though. What makes you more bullish on, I take it, not just Bitcoin, but overall crypto, because again, it's mostly tied together. What's making you feel, I guess, less bearish and or more bullish? Is it like charts? Is it, just you feel a cycle turn? I know Powell is, the main guy in the way.
Yeah, he
He tweeted,
decides.
don't do anything funky, but
He's the game master.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, if the game master allows us to play, or there's a pivot at some point, what is your reasoning behind your
So so it's both. Like, first of all, when more and more people come up with like a consensus on price, I tend to be contrarian. So I'm like, oh, I heard that story before. Everybody was screaming like 100K Bitcoin last year, right? It's like, yeah, it never happened. And now I see all the people. Richard was a bit in advance in this call for sure, but I see so many people talking about this kind of 10K, 13K level is going down. People are very pessimists. Everybody fear is all around. We see it. With the
it
emotion,
feels like 1K when we were at like 3K the last time. Like that's people were calling for 1K when we were at like 3.35, and to your point, as what you're saying, we're at.
It was 1,200. People thought we were going to retest that 1,200 top.
Right. We're at 19 now, and it's pretty much the same.
Yeah,
decrease.
it's like it was 3K. It was 3K Bitcoin. People were saying, "Oh, this is it." It will retrace another 50% to 1K at the time. Yes. And it feels a bit the same, like. But for me, it's more. I start with the technical. I look at the price dynamic. I use a lot of RSI when I trade, and here RSI across different markets are giving me similar signals, right? Whether you look at DXY, S&P X, the Bitcoin RSI as well, the weekly, the one 14 period. Mm-hmm. They look very similar off the bottom of 2018. And so, yeah, I'm just looking at the technicals. Like I don't even look at the price. I just look at the RSI. It's like, hey, this is the price dynamic. They look very similar on the larger time frame. People are afraid all around. They're ready to ape on any float project like ZEN. It feels like it. It's like I don't have like a strong, a crystal ball, but everything points towards this is the end, unless the Fed comes in and just decides to fuck the entire economy. The
Fed is getting a lot of pressure from everywhere else now on this kind of thing, though. They're like, I just feel I don't know. Today, just watching traditional markets, this like giant Darth Maul candle today that was just like, what the? Okay, here we go.
Everyone's
down.
getting slammed.
It wasn't. People were
trying to short. Short, and
exactly.
And liquidity, the price go back up. There's buyers. There's still buyers that have a lot of cash on hands. I know in the VC world, there's billions of dollars of cash. People are waiting just to enter. The question is like, these people that have a lot of money, when do they enter? Mm-hmm. And so you don't want to be short or waiting to. You can try to get the bottom, right? But
you don't want to short the bottom or be down at the bottom.
You don't want to short now. What you want to do now is start this in next 12 months. Just accumulate. If you don't want us to time it perfectly, just accumulate shortly. So the cash, play that game. Right? So,
I was feeling that the past week a lot because just everybody is calling this doom and gloom, and like does everybody always make the money? And no, they usually most don't. So.
Can I speak to this one? Guys,
sure, go for it. I saw your hand up, Randy.
As long as you don't mention
well, that's passed, but we are in a Jubilee year, so you guys can suck on that one. But we are in a gold and silver. I'm a gold and silver guy. That's my background, right? So this what's happening right now is this is what I'm good at, right? Macroeconomics, looking at what the economy is going to do, looking what the Fed's going to do. So over the next couple months. Unless if the Fed keeps raising rates, it's going to be a little bit rough, right? We're going to be on shaky ground. On top of that, we have rumors of war and rumors of war. So that's not helping. The world economy is slowing down, but there's good news. The good news is that we're near the bottom. It can't get much worse than this. Yeah, the prices could take a dip. We could have a big accumulation candle.
Capitulation
candle. We could have the capitulation candle. It can get real nasty. And people are going to get kicked out of their shorts and their longs. Is going to be terrible for everybody. But if you're sitting on the sideline, it's going to be an opportunity of a lifetime. And then on top of all that, for all of us in crypto, we do know that in February 4th, we're 1 year away from a Bitcoin halving. What happens 1 year before a Bitcoin halving? The market usually turns around. We start trending up. So get ready for it. The next couple months will be great. I watched, you guys know Chamath Palakapia, whatever his name is. Mm-hmm. He's something the same thing as Stef is saying. He's saying, look, guys, we're near the bottom. We might not be at the bottom, but we're freaking getting near it. So
yeah,
I would not be sure.
And remember last time around, once the market turned around, we went solidly up and solidly back down. Like, I mean, we went 14K back down to 3. You know, so like
that was a black swan though.
Yeah, sure.
That was the blackest swan.
But the sideways can be real. You know, like it can either go up and down crazy like that, or we could grind around there for a while. You know, that's all totally possible.
And the other argument, on your side there, Big K, I think it was like, was the plus token was the reason for that pump. So, we kind of, if you just draw a straight line, it's kind of where we would have wound up anyway if we would have just gradually gone up there. So it was interesting, Stef, that I guess you were talking about the same thing that I just happened to outline. It feels like that dip and then this churn around this little bottom here. Because that's what I had circled here without even talking to you. But it's
if you unzoom a little bit, actually the price is less interesting. You look at like price dynamic with the RSI at the bottom. So if just to highlight the RSI and try to compress the timeline in time, it'll be.
Let me find it here.
So if you unzoom, unzoom the RSI in time. So just try to compress the timeline. Or maybe look at my latest tweet on that.
Yeah, I'll just do that.
It's okay, Cabana. Some people have trouble performing.
Hey, I don't really use trading like that, like professionally. I just use it as a guide. I'm no.
Don't worry, we're just watching. Don't worry.
Okay.
Don't mind us.
All right, I'm just gonna stop sharing that screen. Anyway,
Chart
Stef,
impetus.
What would you want me to bring up there, Stef?
I can pick it to you privately. That's the one.
And on my side, the Aurochs indicator is still red on the monthly. So for Bitcoin, until that thing turns green, I'm not saying we're pumping.
Yeah, I mean, Stef made a good point. Like it's a perfectly good entry point now to start your DCA. Don't blow your wallet in all one go, but this way you don't miss the bottom when the trend does reverse.
Yeah, so here basically you see exact same like pattern for the bottom that we had 4 years ago already. And so I'm like, well, I don't know what the price is doing, but the average of buys versus sells for the asset, which is BTC on the weekly, this is a weekly RSI, look very similar. So at the minimum, I would start DCAing here. Yeah, the next 6 to 12 months, starting now, I would just start putting a bit in, right? And you should be okay. Worst case scenario, we enter a very big macro depression. In that case, you have other things to worry about, right? If
we're all fucked.
Really fucked. We're all fucked. So,
please not.
I don't know what everybody else is doing, but we're paying off all of our debts. We're almost to zero right now, and it feels good.
Reduce your overhead costs.
Yeah, reduce your overhead costs because it looks like the possibility of going into depression. So best thing to do is get rid of debt.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a few generation. Yeah, a few generation passes. It was 100 years ago. Led to World War II. So you need to look at history in a greater perspective and saying, hey, maybe there's too many weak people in the leadership position and people following them. And it's what you get, after a couple of generations. People forget.
I'm hoping we can throw on like 1 or 2 Band-Aids and just make it one more cycle before everything breaks. That's kind of
very, very bad. Very bad after.
Yeah, it'll be very, very bad the next go around, but I'm hoping we can just get there. I think everyone here now will be in a pretty good position to.
The next Shemitah is 2029, so you got 7 years.
Could be.
There we go. We're good. We're good on Shemitah for a while. All right, and the last.
You might want to front run that with your stakes, everyone. You know.
hold on.
Those 20, 30, 10-year stakes.
I'll be right back.
Coming a little too late.
Cabana ran away. He's gonna fuck this somehow.
Make some stakes.
Let's see here. And so if you've stuck around, kind of, towards the latter parts of this show, but I saved the best for last because someone is also quite bullish, I think, on some shiny object. I don't know which one, but there are a series of tweets here. Engines are warming up. Don't say you didn't know. Hex has been sitting for 3 cents for the past 3 months. Don't be surprised when the train leaves the station. I've never been that bullish on the Hex price before. The price action is going to be epic. I mean, these have been weeks in the making. It's about time. I'm ready. Are you? I own very few shiny objects. One of them is about to shine big time. So,
Steph, are you the market maker?
You could be.
I don't know if you guys remember in 2020 we had this massive candle that doubled the price of Hex, right? Never returned. Low liquidity. I just want don't want people just to be too greedy. It's like, oh, I'm not selling the top. I don't taking profit. This is the exact same feeling that I see now, right? It's kind of the reverse.
Yeah, it's just the reverse.
I'm expecting for the 11K prey, and not everybody can get, physically, it's not possible that everybody can get the bottom. So my set of tweets were more about starting, re-energizing people that may be too conservative right now because it's bear market, and say, similar to what we just said, start DCAing, where just maybe don't pull your chip in, but you won't feel as much as the FOMO if you already put it some chip on the table.
Good advice.
There you go. I'm all for it. And I mean, is the bottom in? PulseChain launches tomorrow. Hex bottom in this cycle.
Yes.
Launches tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, okay. I mean, you'll have 2 hexes to talk about after that. You'll have kind of like a big payday event, like when, what hex. Like, there's a lot more parameters in the future with the PulseChain launch. Gotta be more specific. But
I mean, that's. People ask and bother and pester Richard all the time. When PulseChain. I think it's like 80% PulseChain, but I think those are a lot of Hex holders who are like, man, I know the last couple teases that we've had of PulseChain release. I've seen what the Hex price can do, and I already have my precious bag of Hex. So when PulseChain, because I want to see that go up, along with the PulseChain launch and getting the copy and whatnot. So,
I think once you get an actual set date for PulseChain launch, like I think you're going to see a lot of value extraction from a lot of the stuff we've been talking about, DGen stuff and shiny objects the community gets distracted by. I think you'll see a lot of people start pulling some value out of that and dumping it back into Hex.
I mean, this is the time where people that are the most diligent and rigorous about DCAing in and building that position, they're going to be the most happy. I already see a couple of folks that message me privately and publicly saying are almost being able to gain 1 league just by DCAing for the past 6 months.
That's impressive.
Some people just grinding. They say, okay, I'm saving that money, putting it into the system, and I see myself just moving up the ladder. And this is a redistribution game, right? You're too impatient, or anyone selling to removing that T-Share from the system, you're just giving that opportunity away to someone else, right? So yeah, it depends which game you want to play, how much of your time you want to be distracted by other objects. It's up to you. You can click on button mint wallets all day long if you want, but maybe go make some money and go invest in the best product you can get out there.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Yeah, I mean, that's at the end of the day, like, if that's the version of proof of work that people are doing nowadays, I'm not into that. I like our version of just stake and chill, man. It's freeing on the mind.
Free your mind. I think no, that's en vogue. All right, I was gonna say DJ Cryptomatic was playing Salt and Pepper earlier, but
Shoot.
Hey, shoot. baby. Last chart of the day. So this is one, I mean, everybody's seen this thing, but just throw it around the room. Where do you think we are on this thing? So are we near capitulation, anger, or kind of like coming out of depression on this chart, not a Great Depression? I tend to think we're kind of like at the anger part. Maybe we have another leg down before we end up going back up, but I don't think we're kind of on that swing back up just yet. But I guess, Stef, you're kind of, I guess, more on the depression side, that we could be coming out of this sooner than later.
Yeah, regardless, obviously there's no
DCA
scale on that. So yeah, you DCA across that zone there, you do okay, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
it's not gonna change. Imagine the prices just, you're not gonna get. Let's say that the worst case scenario for most of like crypto asset that we like goes down by 50% from now, right? I mean, it's unlikely you get that 2x ratio by catching the exact bottom. So the best thing you can do is DCA across the period, because you're gonna eventually a price average down if it goes down. It won't matter that much if the prices of your best asset does 100x next cycle. It's really not gonna matter, right? What is the core difference if you do 100x or 150x?
Yeah,
it's not gonna change your feeling. You're gonna be happy regardless, right? So
yeah, I mean, if you wait around to catch the 1.5 cent drop and like it only is there for a second, then who cares? If it goes down there and stays and you can buy it, sure, kick ass. But but yeah, when it goes up, you're really not gonna care. When if we're in dollar range, then if you make huge gains, that's not.
And that shot is beautiful, because as you can see from the top to there's three kind of like bottoms. We see like three little value there. There's very, very few differences.
It's just time at that point. Of this,
very, very few. The time is the pressure here.
Yep.
But what's important is difference between the top and the bottom, right? So don't be too greedy trying to get like micro gains. What's important is build that position so you're ready when things go up.
I think, guys, I think the anger was right before the ETH 2.0 launch, going into the ETH 2.0 launch. And I think we're just past that now, probably in the red area of the depression. And what Kurkowski said makes sense to me, because, so many of you guys you got the 10,000x or the 5,000x in Hex. And the most I ever got was about 1,500x, because I just DCA'd all in the first week and of the AA lobby. So but do I complain? Hell no. Because I still did amazing, and I appreciate everyone that made that kind of money.
I mean, there's people that got in at like before, but after big payday that are still thanking me to this day. I mean, the idea that they've gotten into crypto and haven't even really taken an L like along their whole journey so far is pretty. It
feels good.
It means a lot. Yeah. That's not easy to say in crypto.
I mean, if you do the analysis, I haven't done it myself, but I would not be surprised. Just statistically, there's less than 5 addresses that could have, with impact, buy a lot at the bottom of Hex, right? This kind of 30, 33, 34 days of the existence of smart contract, and sold during the 50 cents range. There's very, very few addresses. We're talking less than 5 accounts that got the perfect 10,000x return. And obviously they were not staked to get that return, because you cannot be staked in time also when your stake gonna expire. So, these things are just, narrative marketing. Most people would have done a fraction of that, right? Around maybe 1,000x. That's maybe the most common case of a larger portion of investors, right? That a bit of liquid. And even for people like myself, my weighted average duration is 10 years. So if I cashed out a bit at the top, which I did, it was a fraction of what I own in X anyway. So
yeah, and I've said this before. Maybe it was with Axis and RH Max last week. It's like, I'm totally fine with putting in at the old highs of, say, a Bitcoin or Ethereum. I'm just talking general markets here, because we've seen the high. And a lot of times markets will come down, they'll retest, they'll even come back through that old high, which Bitcoin and Ethereum had done. Ethereum much more so. I think it went to 800 or something like that. But I'm fine with starting that as a DCA zone, because you know what? If we don't make new lows on Bitcoin and or Ethereum or a Hex, you know, I've bought all three within the past month or so. Just a little bit, nothing, not like going all in or anything. But if we do take off, I'm you know, as we've been talking about, I'm in that DCA mindset. But if, you know, Fed happens to pivot in 2 months, I'm not going to be caught, you know, on the ground looking up at the rocket ship as it's left and entering FOMO because I didn't at least get a taste of it. So that's why you want to DCA throughout this process. So as we've said, Randy said, and Stef has said, if we're kind of grinding along this anger / depression phase, you know, the only thing against you really is time. Otherwise, if you can hang in there, man, once we come out of this, you are looking and feeling great.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anything else do we have? Oh, yes. Just odds and ends, bookkeeping, Fumble Fridays.
I fumbled.
Yes, you did.
Fridays.
Our football pool, let me bring this up. So what's funny is that Randy and Paul Sachs, who has been in the chat active tonight, they got in this thing and are still in it from the very beginning. We did a second chance pool, and
everyone did so well.
So Randy and Paul have had 2 chances to win, and they have lost both times. So this week, Paul has gone with San Francisco. So Randy, get your pick in because you're still alive for the main one, and you will be the main champion. Either one of you will be at some point. It could be week 10 if you guys keep losing. But one of you two will be this year's champion and join me among the ranks. Freddie Quotes and I had a great battle last year to the end where I had, I guess, New England. He had Philadelphia. And the second chance is wide open. So Freddie is still in that staked wealth. Friend of mine, Be Kind.
I didn't realize.
I'm sorry, Big K.
Late. I was
Hex Force 1. So get your picks in by, well, you could do it technically, wait until the last game on Monday night if you pick before the game, but get your picks in before Sunday's kickoff. So that's that bit of housekeeping there.
Could you throw the link in the chat for the folks?
Yeah, I can do that. I think it's only a couple. Pretty much everybody has it, I think. But...
except for me, I never pay attention.
Oh, okay, there you go. That's what you're asking for yourself. The folks. There you go.
I'll actually save it.
Let's see. Odds and ends, bookkeeping. Somebody asked picks for Thursday Night Football tonight. I don't know. I think it's going to be an awful game. But then again, anything could be better than last week's game. That was just absolutely awful.
Who's playing Thursday night tonight?
Washington and Chicago.
Sorry, yeah, we suck. This will be a race to the bottom.
Race to the bottom. Any other bookkeeping items? Oh, Atlantic City this Saturday. M to the K versus Fake Drake. A lot of Hexkins are going to be there. Dollar cost. I believe Funding Jim's going to be there. Kareem, I know, will be there. Fortunately, I have a wedding event tomorrow that's going to take up bunch of my travel schedule, and AC is my kind of place. Unfortunately, of course, I won't be able to make it there when all my Hexkin friends are there. Have not met DCC or Funding Jim yet. A little sad about that, but in due time. But I'll be up in AC probably next month. So,
dude, both their boxing skills is terrible. Like that fight
DCC was awful. Talking up. He was talking up into the K last, like he's actually been training.
I've seen him training, but I've also seen how awful his punches are, and like every now and then he walks over to a speed bag and it beats up on the speed bag for a little bit. Like that boxing match is going to be atrocious. Skill
is that like a celebrity boxing without being a celebrity?
Yeah,
I think they're both rappers or something like that.
Yeah, so
but they're both pretty uncoordinated and clearly don't have much boxing experience. And I think they had this fight scheduled only like a couple weeks ago. So like there's only so much correction you can do even with training. So it's gonna be pretty bad, I think. Room for the Hex guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think like there's some sort of sponsorship with M to the K. So he had met Richard and hung out with him in Miami, and Kareem and DCC have put together a lot of content on this and promo stuff. Actually, M to the K, I think, lives in Conor McGregor's
Vegas.
old house in
That shower's wild.
oh my gosh, yeah. So if you want to check out that, like if you want a cool like little watch on YouTube, go to it's like McMansion or Conor McGregor Mansion or something like that. Like that is M to the K's crib, and I think he did like a tour. Actually, I think Kareem probably put it on Instagram, but that was really cool because he got to go there and did a walkthrough and saw the kitchen. It's just nuts. But anyway,
shout out to Jake Lund, sponsored by Discord Syndicate. Now that guy can fucking fight.
Yes.
You want to see someone who has like M to the K. Like I hope he does win his fight, but you want to see someone who actually has a very skilled fighter. Jake Lund, definitely.
Yeah.
Dude's a
No
beast.
doubt. And shout out to, I think Brent Morrissey had a tweet today shouting out the winners of Hex. So I think it was the football team that, not to be mentioned, they were undefeated when they had the Hex logo on their jersey.
Fucked up.
Yeah, yes, they
They
did.
fucked up.
And Top Cats Racing just absolutely killing it. So
Yep.
shout out to Michael Light, who I see you in chat, and Hexagon Girl posting all sorts of content on Instagram. So that's
She does a
awesome.
great job.
Yes, she does.
Direct mailers with Hex postcards. Everyone's killing it. Everyone's doing a good job.
Yeah, I mean, this is the definition of community, right? Like all these people doing all these different things. Like everybody has their own area that they can contribute, and we're all doing it each.
Did you guys, anybody watch that FUD video that somebody put out about Richard?
Oh
That
boy,
just came out. Yeah,
No.
there's a new FUD video out. It came
A
out
new one?
days ago.
I thought you said flood. I was like flood.
No,
video.
FUD.
FUD.
And
Okay.
and one of the things they said that Richard keeps putting out flyers and sponsoring all these, putting sponsored ads everywhere. And
Richard
teams
does.
and things.
Yes,
Richard's doing it. I'm like, what the fuck? That's not
Yep.
what's happening.
It's us.
yeah. Richard built Staker app too, and it's like no.
Imagine Richard stuffing envelopes for chain letter shit like that. Like
He's licking each envelope. See all that? All right, that's one. Yeah, not happening.
Toblerone, what's up, man? We had a fancy hockey draft last night, so cross borders and cross the continents. We had an online hockey draft, so finally
draft.
got that
Freaking
in.
hardcore over there.
Well, good to have like a smart, like-minded hockey fan. Big K knows.
yeah, that was my thing.
What are we gonna do for the World Cup? World Cup's coming up. There's
Can't wait for that
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that a no, Big K, or no? Actually, I'll be in Atlantic City for the World Cup, so I'll be. You can find me at the sports book.
Nice. They put one in our neighborhood. I love it.
Nice.
So I hear.
Show yourself, Big K. We're at the close anyway.
Yeah.
Good point to
It's
wrap
a
it
great
up.
time.
Bath time that's about to hit right now. My name's Big Kurkowski. Find me on Twitter and Telegram there. The highest of stakes should be ideally coming out, whenever the PulseChain comes out, or maybe after or before. Who the hell knows?
That clears everything up.
Go take a look at it if you'd like to see the trailer. Other than that,
Soon.
I'll see y'all later. This has been lots of fun, guys. Thanks for coming through,
for
Steph.
having me.
Appreciate it.
Good to have you back.
Thanks.
All right, and we are at that point. Well, we'll go around the room. Special guest, Stef, man. Thank you for taking the time. I know you were unsure of the schedule. I'm happy it worked out, or you worked it out, and you've given us close to 2 hours here and lots of insight and thoughts on a whole array of topics that I think the whole community finds interesting, not just Hex related, but we talked additional crypto, general markets, and I like your viewpoint because I think I'm starting to lean more your area, at least, some small buys. I'm with you with that. You have like our friend Tendies, who might be in the room with Motley there, or Dixon Piper, who are a lot more bearish and are waiting for another leg down. I'm fine with that too. It's like a win-win. So if you DCA, like you were saying, and Randy's been saying, and Motley and everybody, if you DCA, you cheer a dip and you get more. And if you have that saved up, it's a win-win. You're already in, you have a little bit, you can always get more. So thanks for your viewpoints and updates on Staker. I mean, everything, man. Where can we find you? And I guess any other updates that you want to show before we close out?
No, I'm just happy to join tonight, share a bit of my ideas, try to put some colors on my like fiery tweets. But yeah, maybe I'm thinking that maybe I should do a bit more community engagement because I like it if I find the time. You guys can find me on Twitter. This is a 0x Stef. Pretty responsive most of the time. If you send me any messages or you tweet me. And then I'm the CEO of Stakers, and we're about to launch the new version very, very soon. So I know we said that a couple of times, but
4 more weeks.
Yeah, I've seen a demo today. I've seen a demo that suggests that we're gonna kick off beta testing with about 20 testers, Android and iOS, in the upcoming days. Kick it off, and yeah, after that, if everything turns green on the beta testing, start rolling out to more users over time. But yeah, anyway, we would have been ready to be launching ahead of PulseChain, but we took the time to do it. Over summer. We knew there was delays, and it's like, hey, why should I work 20 hours a week when I know that I don't want to be too early, just crushing my life balance to launch something that doesn't need to be not critical to be out for most of our users. So yeah, we took the time, but we hope that excited, and we hope that people will appreciate the work that we put in.
100%.
I know I appreciate you and everybody on this panel, and pretty much everybody in chat, I bet, does too. So thanks again.
Yeah.
Man.
One last thing is, do you guys are doing something specific in the US for the 3rd anniversary of the Hex launch, or not? I know there's a party in San Diego.
Crypto Sparbook. Yes, they're doing
stuff.
San Diego.
Because I will likely be in the US by the end of the year.
Cool.
So
well, we should do one on the East Coast just to spite them.
I'll be in New York, Miami, or Florida area, and I'm still hesitating to go on the West Coast. So TBD.
I might be in Florida around like Christmas, New Year's time. So if you're around that time, just hit me up.
Hey, that could be arranged.
Yeah, maybe we could do a Florida thing. Forget the West
down.
Coast. We could do a Florida thing.
All right.
Miami was pretty fun last year, so wouldn't mind doing that again.
Yeah. Thanks again, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Ciao, Stef.
See you. So before we get to Motley Investor, because he's next in line, Hex, Steph mentioned something turning green, and I was like, he's signaling green candles are green on the Aurochs indicator, but no, he was talking something different. So I know that Randy Hilarski is going to tweet that out in all caps whenever we do get that. What is it on the monthly?
Soon.
So we're waiting for it. But
I check twice a day.
Yeah. You're waiting for that new monthly candle to roll over, and you're like, yes.
Yeah.
So,
it's the only one I'm not going to wait for a confirmation, because I'm not going to wait a whole freaking month for a confirmation. So if it comes out, I'm tweeting it.
There you go. Jimmy Diamond, West Coast is the best coast.
Disagree.
Motley Investor, where can we find you, sir?
Motley Investor everywhere. Pretty straightforward.
There you go.
Follow me on Instagram. I got like a bunch of stuff from Vietnam that I still have to upload. So if you want to see some cool stuff from Vietnam over the past month, go follow me there.
I'm down with that. And also the your Insta stories were outstanding, by the way.
Yeah.
The carrying on, and also like a lot of the culture too.
It's just fun. It's another world. Lucky for me, like my wife's family has a lot of friends over there, so like got to do it the local way and like really experience like how Vietnam is, and you can live like a freaking king over there if you have the US dollar. Like, I mean, all my meals I was paying anywhere between like 50 cents to $2 tops. Like, it was insane. So like we'd go out and like I'd literally buy 5 to 10 people's freaking dinner, drinks, multiple entrees, appetizers, and I'd pay like $40 at the end. It was wild. I had a good time. I had a lot of good time.
Great.
Ate all kinds of weird stuff too, but pretty good. Everything was pretty good.
Nice.
Definitely recommend it. If you want to stretch out your money in a bear market, go live in Vietnam for like 6 months. It'll help.
You live and look like royalty. So
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that would be a wedding pic. Those are called alyais. Those are the like traditional dress of Vietnamese alyais. It's like, I want a dragon on mine, so I got a dragon.
nothing cooler than a dragon. So.
Yeah, I actually wanted a dragon and a tiger fighting. Turns out that's not really common, so I settled with the dragon at the end.
Nice. Randy Hilarski, to close us out, where can we find you? Because you've been streaming a lot lately.
Yeah, just at Randy Hilarski everywhere. And my live streams also go to on Odyssey. And now my stuff ends up on Rumble. If you guys jeez, I can't talk. This 2-day fast had me all fucked up. So, so if you connect your Rumble to your YouTube account, just like you do with your Odyssey account, after you stream, your content's also going to go there. So make sure you get that done, guys. Get our word out everywhere.
Does it port over old videos or just the new ones that you do? So it's
I think it goes back a certain amount of time. It doesn't do everything.
Okay. So kind of like Odyssey, throw a lot of your content over there.
Nice backup in case we lose our channels.
Nice. Okay. I think I've done it on Odyssey, but yeah, I'll do it on Rumble too. So awesome. HexyCat is in a 36-hour fast now. So
yeah, I just got off my fast, and guess what we had? We had Popeyes.
Oh, I love the Louisiana kitchen.
Yeah. Dude, transitioning from eating like Vietnamese food for like a full month, and then like I came back to Puerto Rico like the other day, and like I had my first like pretty like heavy meal. Like, man, my stomach was just, it was not used to it. Completely different types of food. And
I might want to do a parasite cleanse too. I'm just talking as a corpsman.
Yeah,
do a parasite cleanse.
Yeah. I've kind of been.
What does one do for that?
Yeah, what do you?
Paragard. Just go to Amazon, buy yourself some Paragard. Paragard. You take it 3 times a day for 14 days, and it'll clear you all out. You get rid of all the parasites.
That's a good call. That's a good call. With the stuff I was eating, from snakes to porcupine to monitor lizards.
I saw the snake, and that's the first thing I thought of. I was like, "Oh man, he's got to take something when he gets home."
It was funny. We went to go see some alligators at this one place, and it's called in Vietnamese they call it gasao. It just means ugly fish is the rough translation. And I was like, "Oh yeah," I was like, "We eat gasao over in the States, fried gator tail," and they're like, "Really? Like they don't do that?" I was like, "Yeah," and they're like, "It's funny with like Vietnamese or Asian culture in general, like if you like tell your host or whatever like you like something, they always try to aim to please and make sure you have a great time." So when I told them that I eat alligator, like evidently that night they went to the market to go try to find alligator, which is not a common thing at all in Vietnam. And so we go back to the farm and we have a bunch of stuff to make the meal for that night. And there's this sorry for any of you PETA or animal guys, but Vietnam is a whole nother world. Like animals are food there, and they don't care. There was this bag, and they're like, "Oh, gasao's in there." I was like, "Really?" It was a small bag. I was like, "An alligator's in there?" Like, yeah. And so they kill it by like putting it in boiling water. Sorry again for you animal lovers out there. It's rough out there in Vietnam. But so they open up the bag and they pull it out. And I was expecting to see an alligator, but they pull out this giant monitor lizard. I was like, that's not a gasao. No. And they're like, yeah, this is like the closest we could get. So I ended up eating monitor lizard that night. It was interesting.
I got a quick story for this.
Not too bad.
Know, I think Pensacola Naval Air Station is still open. I believe that's where they train all the aviators. Yes, that's where I went to my C school there, and every Friday they had gator, rattlesnake.
Yeah, that kind of swamp style stuff. Yeah, Florida's notorious for it.
Yeah, it's got to be open because there were planes flying over me like every 2 hours out on. The beach
training base
on the Gulf.
It's I think we also share that with the Air Force as well, if I remember correctly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I believe Air Force has a part of it there. There's also, I actually went down there because the recruiting. So I did recruiting for my shore duty before I got out. The school for recruiting is also down there. So yeah, it was fun. But
Blue Angels do the air show down there too.
Yeah. Another fun food fact. One of the best things I had down there, which was also very weird, was I ate porcupine and didn't realize it. I was like eating it. I'm like, man, this is really good. Like it was like kind of like almost like this curry based stuff. And like I was eating the meat and it kind of tastes like a very rich, like pork and some caramelized onions in it. I'm like eating it. I'm like, man, it's really good. And I asked them, I was like, what is it? And so they tell me in Vietnamese and I look it up. I'm like, porcupine? I was like, and so I'm like, no. I was like, this is porcupine. And so I showed him a picture, like, yeah, that's it. And I was just like, bruh. I was like, I did not expect to be eating porcupine, but it turned out it was really good too. So it was all kinds of interesting stuff I ate out there. I had a good time. I had a great time. But yeah, I'll post some of that stuff on Instagram so you guys can go watch that.
All right,
yeah, I was loving the content over there. Justin Garner came to see the NWO got something even better. That's right. The band is back together. New world order.
You said Paragard, Randy, for the parasite cleanse. Okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna invest in that.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it like a detox kind of thing?
No, it's just for parasites. If you want to do detox, you do Zeolite, which is XEOLITE.
Mm-hmm.
That one's a good.
I've heard of Zeolite
detox.
But yeah, you actually want to kill the the parasites you may or may not have.
Yeah, and that's a legit thing. Like they can live inside you for.
Hey, the way anybody eats sushi, the way they harvest and cook their food out there in Vietnam, like this is a very real possibility.
If anybody eats sushi, you better be doing Paragard every 3 months because that's where most of your stuff comes from. Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
All right, let's end this before
I was about to say that was a nice little section we didn't hit on the stream. So there you go.
we learn different things, many different things on Happy Hour. So all right, thank you, Big K, Steph, and of course Motley and Randy. Got the band back together, man. So it was cool to have it for a week. Hopefully more of this going forward. Now our schedules are kind of worked out. Motley's kind of like back home and
for Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, we got that coming up in a month or so. Same here, but we'll figure it out. And thank you, chat. You guys were awesome, and for all the questions and crypto band names even. So that was not expected, but thank you for that. And I'm pretty sure next week we will be back at the regular Friday 5 p.m. Eastern time. I don't have any weddings or anything that I know of, so that should work out. So
where's the wedding at? What state?
DC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know.
No.
Sorry, I'm not keeping track of your where in the world is Cabana these days.
Oh, it was in Florida last week. So,
yeah.
Pensacola-ish. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's why Wendy's messaged me and he was like, "Oh man, I recognize that area."
Are you gonna still be around there around Thanksgiving time, or are you going elsewhere?
I'll be probably Jersey, DC, Jersey right before, and then DC of.
Okay, hit me up when you're in DC. I don't know exactly when I'm going to be out there, but around sometime around Thanksgiving.
Oh, dang! All right.
Yep,
I'm down.
Cool.
All right. Well, we conducted our personal planning here for you.
There you guys go.
All right, gents.
Thank you, everybody. We will see you next week. I believe 5 p.m. should be the time on Friday.